Mushoku Tensei is officially back. So I just watched episode 0, Guardian Fitz, and I want to do episode discussions on Mushoku Tensei this season, and I think it deserves it. Obviously, I'm freaking pumped right now. I just watched the episode. It was fantastic. Talk about a great opening. Really threw me off that they were just talking about breasts. They were just talking about titties. That's what they were talking about, Luke and Ariel. They were just talking about titties. And then all of a sudden, you pop up to... Let me stop right here. Let me stop real quick. Spoilers. So, spoilers. I'm just letting you know. I'm going to put that in the title, too. So, spoilers, because I'm not going to do who the hell does a non-spoiler and then a spoiler, because I'm not good enough to do that. All right, either way. So, the episode begins... Actually, before I do that, let me say this. It was nice to see Mushoku Tensei back, but if I remember correctly, I think episode 0 was outsourced to another company, and they did a good job. I guess I'll talk about the other stuff before we get into the actual story of the episode. I thought they did a pretty good job capturing kind of like, what makes Mushoku Tensei, but I will say there was definite bad animation. Like, you could tell they used a lot of CGI. Like, when they're not, it's like when you watch an old cartoon and then like you're watching an old cartoon and then everything else looks part of the background except for the one thing the character is clearly going to interact with. That one's drawn a little differently, and it felt like that too. So you see, like, when they were in the hall, right, and all the verbal jousting stuff, like Ariel is walking in with Luke and Fitz, and then everybody else is like a bad CGI like background character, and they don't even try to hide it. I did not like that, especially knowing how well Mushoku Tensei like can look, right? But obviously, if they outsource this episode because they have to prepare for the rightfully what should be the anime of the year, in my opinion, I'm just gonna let it go because it's really not that important. What else? I forgot how dark the world Mushoku Tensei can be, and you can think of how Overlord or ReZero, for instance. Like, Mushoku Tensei is just as dark as those. They may not be as like overly explosive in terms of power scaling and things like that, because you set what's the girl that likes Ainz a lot? That's bad. I can't remember her name, but like the one that he like reprograms in the beginning. Still kind of throws me off about that. But if you throw her in like freaking Mushoku Tensei, it's a wrap. She's running the whole world. But basically, I forgot how dark the world was in terms of like what people do. God, that old bald motherfucker. Like, fuck that dude. That was helping Ariel's brother. The politics too. But no, let me just start in the story of the episode. So the story starts, like I said, Ariel and Luke and Derek, I believe, was the mage bodyguard, were like sitting and Ariel's eating pies or something, and Luke and her are talking about breasts and what they love. Like, I love this kind of breast. Like, I like big titties. I like small titties. Like, well, whatever. Talking about nipples, whatever. So all of a sudden, you pan up to Sylphie, and Sylphie just wakes up because what Guardian Fitz is basically showing you what happened to Sylphie after the mass teleportation incident, I believe in episode 7 of the first season. And while obviously we got to see Rudius and Eris's journey after that to how they got back home, technically, we don't get to see anybody else's really, except we do get to see Eris's grandfather, who gets like blamed for the incident by his political rivals, and he gets killed. And I believe his mom, Eris's mom and dad, were killed because of the incident. Like, they popped up in some places where they were nowhere prepared like to do anything, so they were both killed that way. Same thing I think happened to Sylphie's dad or Sylphie's parents, but I can't remember off the top of my head. So of course they show Sylphie, she wakes up somehow from the blinding light and she's falling out of the sky, right? And so then I thought it was a really good way to showcase why her hair turned from green to white. So as she's falling down, she's using wind magic to protect herself, right? Because she's trying to slow down her descent, and she completely like busts through all of her mana. Obviously, also it also helps that she landed on that boar, but that boar was also part of the teleportation incident. So I think one thing a lot of people gotta say, like, that whole area, probably hundreds of thousands of people just scattered all over the world. Like, obviously, when you find out where Zenith will be, or you saw what the hell Paul was doing with Norn at the end of at the end of the first season. Obviously, Lilia, is it Lilia? The maid, and Aisha too. Like, you just kind of get to see and how really messed up it is, right? There's nothing, not really, because some people take advantage of them, some people die, some whatever. So the boar was also affected, right? So that's why the boar is so like aggressive and all that. And Derek sacrifices his life to protect Ariel. Ironically, the thing that sucks is that right when Derek gets killed, that's when Sylphie drops on the boar's head using wind magic, which ironically fully protects her from the fall. But Derek dies, and obviously the boar dies, right? So Sylphie wakes up, and they're like, "Oh, I think the one thing you gotta know. I'm a big fan of Ariel from the reading the light novel and the web novel. She's one of the more shrewder characters in Mushoku Tensei. So she basically threatens Sylphie into becoming Fitz on the grounds of trespassing on the palace, which is a no-win situation for Sylphie. So of course she takes it. She uses her parents, like using, hey, if you join me, because she obviously sees Sylphie and oh my god, she can use magic without casting. So she's obviously an asset for Ariel to use. So by basically Loki threatening her, like, hey, if you join me, I'll be able to find your family, and then you can stay with me until we find your family. So obviously Sylphie agrees. She becomes Fitz. She wears those glasses. I don't think I like those glasses. A lot of people are like, what can I cop a pair? I'm like, y'all can have them. But we see Sylphie's journey throughout the episode, and while it may not be like as crazy as Rudius is, I think it's just as dangerous, man. When you're talking politics, man, especially the way medieval politics are displayed, like, bro, anything could happen, right? So you see Princess Ariel with her 5 other siblings. There's about to be a dispute, like they're about to fight over succession here pretty soon, right? And as you can see, what was the guy's name? I don't remember the guy's name, but one of the Ariel's older siblings is watching her intently, because I think they basically have a weird verbal joust. Like when Ariel first pulls up to the hall where everybody's at, right? And then basically it's the brother threatening her, saying like, hey, you're only good for singing. You don't need to do anything else or else. And even the big supporter for Ariel, the noble supporter, Pillamon, whatever, which is, fun fact, the guy who wanted Ares to be his concubine in season 1, which means that dude's like Rudy's like cousin or something, because I don't know how that shit works, okay? I've already accepted the fact that some nasty stuff is about to happen. Hey, that's part of anime, I guess. So he even threatens Pillamon. And then you see Ariel is so shrewd because she's like working like outside groups who could help her just in case something does happen, right? To foster, because Ariel's main weapon is her popularity. And you can see that she's also very quick-witted too. So like when they go to the hall, right, Ariel's doing her thing, meeting up with nobles, and then Luke has to go talk to some other people, so Fitz is left by herself. She can kind of hear what all those people have been saying about her, because obviously nobody knows Sylphie's background, where the hell she's from. Only Luke and Ariel know. And then she kind of collapses from like the anxiety and all that, and then she accidentally spills a noble's cup, which could be death depending on where you're at. And Ariel just saves her ass by singing, because Ariel's a really good singer. And you can definitely know that Ariel knows how to play to a crowd. And then also Sylphie's been having nightmares, like PTSD of her fall, obviously when she almost died. And there's still no word about her family, so all these things. And then Luke comes up clutch and gets Ariel to sleep in bed with her, and then they get attacked by an assassin. Sylphie saves Ariel from the assassin, but that basically shows Ariel that right now it's too dangerous for her to be in the castle when she basically has only one noble supporter. She has 2 knights who are just like her obligatory like protectors because she is a princess, but she doesn't have any forces to call upon. So she leaves the Asura kingdom to go to the Roanoa Magic Academy as a pretense to study abroad, but she's going to go there to get foreign allies too. So that's why. So basically, in season 2, you're gonna see Rudy's time after Eris leaves to when he meets Sylphie. So basically, just telling you this is how Sylphie got to where you're gonna meet her in season 2. I am very curious to see how much they can go, because will they end it right when he meets Rudy will meet Sylphie, and like he'll cure his problem that he's had since Eris left, or how far are they willing to go? Like, will they even try to go get like Zenith back, maybe, which would be crazy to see them cover that much, I think, in one season. I definitely think that'll be part of like maybe season 3. But overall, I thought the episode was pretty good. It was a nice kind of reintroduction back. And one thing I love that only ReZero I noticed does this. Some anime do maybe at the end of like a season. Like, they don't give, like, bro, we're throwing you right into the action. No opening and the close and the ending song or whatever is part of the anime. I love that. More shows need to do that instead of wasting time. Like wasting basically up to 3 minutes of time. You could be giving us more content to make your story work. Mushoku Tensei was so good at that. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I thought episode 0 was good. You could clearly see the faults by outsourcing it. So you don't really get that studio bind, I believe? Is it studio bind? You don't get that studio bind quality that you expect. But I believe it is studio bind. But I thought they did a great job. And I'm excited to have Mushoku Tensei back, because you guys already know this is my favorite anime of all time. I'm probably going to make a why you should watch after the season's over on this, because I'm going to keep blowing up Mushoku Tensei to anybody and everybody, because this show deserves to be talked about. And I think it's one of the more hyped shows of this season. I know I've been talking about it in the Facebook group, so I'm excited. I'm excited to be back. If you guys want to kind of know more about what they cut out of each episode, like cut content from whether it's the novels or the manga, go to the anime to the YouTube channel Annie News. So, and I love going to him after each episode. So I was like, oh, this is what they cut out. And then I sit there, I'm like, okay, that makes sense why they cut that out. They just couldn't put it in the, episode. So anyway, it was a great reintroduction to the series before episode 1, because you're about to see in episode 1. I believe it's called, the episode title was The Broken Hearted Mage. You're about to see Rudy, or Rudius. I'm not going to say down bad, but he's definitely not okay. I don't think down bad is the right word, but he is distraught. Other Stephen A adjectives that he likes to use. So it was good. It was good to see them again. Great introduction for characters. I loved Ariel. I love her voice actor. I think I just love her in general, like how she was portrayed. You got some of that shrewdness. You got some of all that stuff, and I'm excited to see more of her. Luke is Luke. I mean, Luke is important in another way, but I don't want to talk about it until they get to that episode, and I'll explain why. There's going to be some time travel technically, but don't worry, Mushoku Tensei uses time travel in a way that I really liked. So once we get there, I'll talk about it. But there you guys go, episode 0. I'm going to be dropping one every week. Hopefully I'll do it right after I watch the episode. And I believe the new Mushoku Tensei episodes premiere on Sunday, so I'll make sure to drop them when they happen, and I'll make sure to make them a little bit cleaner than this. But I just saw it and I was like, you know what, let's do it. So thank you guys for listening technically, because I'm just going to put one solid picture over this, because I don't want to like ruin it with my editing, because then that means something might get taken out that I don't want taken out. So thank you guys for listening, and I will see you guys soon. Episode 1 next week, The Broken Hearted Mage.